I'm Mark Ryan, and the voice of JETFIRE, and I want you to come and visit me on bigfanboy.com. Come and visit the site, or fear my infinite wrath. Alright, see you soon. Take care.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here with the great Mark Ryan, who you probably know as the voice of Bumblebee, the voice of JETFIRE in the Transformers films, but more importantly, he is in town to promote this right here. This is Puss in Boots. This is a pantomime for Theatre Britain.
Yep. And
tell us a little bit about your involvement in this and what brings you here to Dallas.
Well, Panto is kind of interesting. I got a letter earlier this year from Sue Birch, who is one of the directors and producers of this company, and she wanted to know if I would be interested at all in doing, Panto in Dallas. And I didn't know whether she knew or whether it was just a shot in the dark, but I actually started my career in Manchester in 1976. The first real theatrical show I did was a Panto called Cinderella in Manchester. And so that experience, which is pretty common for English actors, British actors particularly, is something that is very fond. It's very, stays in our hearts, because it's the first experience where you're working in a real theatre and you have the first theatre discipline. So I was kind of like, although I guess a lot of people may have dismissed it out of hand, but I didn't. I went, that sounds interesting. Panto in Dallas, of all places. How bizarre and interesting and twisted that might be.
And I know enough about London to know that everybody in London just thinks of Dallas and they think of J.R. Ewing and things like that. So they don't really...
There you go.
We're actually a very industrialized city.
But I'd been to Texas before, you see. Yeah. I'd done fan conventions in Houston. I'd been to Galveston. I've been to places. I actually have a Texas passport.
Is that right?
I was given a Texas passport by the chaps in Houston, yeah.
Nice.
So I've been to NASA a couple of times, and I generally like, I like Texas and I like Texans. So I was like kind of going, this could be fun. This might be, I'd never visited Dallas properly. So I went, Panto in Dallas. As it happens, I wasn't available to do it because I'm wrapped up with the DVD release of Revenge of the Fallen in London, which doesn't get released till the 30th. Because it's out here in the US,
right.
These release dates get staggered. So I'm going over to promote that at Collector Mania in London at the end of this month, 28th, 29th or something, and then the DVD comes out on the 30th, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the holidays in the UK. So I wasn't available.
Mm-hmm.
But during the conversations and me going, whether to or not, Sue called up and said, well, why don't you just come and see Dallas, come and do some signings, come and do some promotion for us, and maybe are you interested in teaching in a couple of schools? And I went, oh yeah, I love all that stuff. I've done a lot of that, in universities and stuff, to the theatre groups and that kind of stuff, because obviously they like to talk about Transformers and voice acting, but I've been in the West End theatre, I've choreographed big fight sequences in big movies, as well as doing this and writing stuff, and I've worked with Eric Idle and Monty Python and stuff. So I tend to like working with the students and talking to the students, and they have a lot of crazy questions for about, well, what's it like really in show business, so I tell them, Yeah. But this is great fun, and Panto is a real interactive theatre experience for people. You go, it doesn't matter whether you're a child who is 50 years old or 5, you go and you get wrapped up in this universe where you can talk to the characters on the stage and they will talk back to you. And they've got their own rituals about, the classic ghost scene. There's a ghost scene usually in a Panto, and the ghost arrives and all the kids are going, when the hero, whichever hero it is looking for the ghost, and it's usually behind him, they're going, it's behind you! And he's going, I can't see the ghost, where's the ghost? And the kid's going, it's behind you, it's over there, it's over there. So that is part of the Panto tradition, and it's an interactive, it's a very old, entertainment tradition in the UK. And it's obviously beginning to catch on here in America, particularly in Dallas, due to Theatre Britain's, steadfast promotion of that, concept here. So go see. It's great fun. It's a great night in the theatre.
We're going to have a link up to the website, but it's Theatre Britain, theatre-britain.com, and that's the proper spelling of theatre, which is T-R-E at the end of it. So be sure and get that right, -britain.com. Let's talk a little bit about, now pantomime especially actually leads me into kind of my next question, which is about your work on Transformers, because I think a lot of people know that you did the voice of Bumblebee, but what they're not aware of maybe sometimes is that you were actually on set. You were actually like there, you know, basically kind of being the person everybody talked to, so that later when they went in to put the robots in, they worked off of your pantomime on the film. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I stand on the set and I do all the voices on the set. The process actually is that we usually, on this one, what we did first was we went in and did all the dialogue first. So I did all the voices for all of the robots before they start filming. Then, which was 60 pages of dialogue, then we go onto the set and shoot the scenes with the robots. It depends really. Obviously I didn't go to Egypt this time, but you know, like for instance at Edwards Air Force Base where we shot, I was Optimus Prime when he converts into the Nest base. I'm doing that dialogue with Optimus Prime with, you know, the guys at the Nest team. So it gives them something to work with other than just a big pole with a light on top, which is what they normally have. So I do that for all the robots usually. Then after we finish shooting, we go back in. There may be some dialogue changes. Michael wants to tweak dialogue, add dialogue, depending on how the character's developed. So we go back in and do that again. And then they start bringing in the other voice guys. And like with Jetfire, the way that that character developed, they liked the character, but they wanted to tweak it or add or even expand it. And Jetfire basically expanded through the course of us working with him and ended up with more scenes and more dialogue, which was great. And it's a great character to play because you're allowed to bring your own personality to it. And the linkage to Panto really is about imagination. So when you go in to do this stuff, the very first time I went in, I didn't know what Jetfire was going to look like. So I'm just basically doing the dialogue and trying to imagine what this would, you know, what this character would be like, and I don't even know what sort of plane it is. Later on I found out it was going to be an SR-71, which I happen to love. I was a big fan of the SR-71. So that helped me in a way go, okay, how is an SR-71 going to sound? So we tried that, and then Michael wanted to make him older and crotchetier, more like a knight. He specifically kept saying to me, I want this guy to be like an honourable, aging sage knight. In his day, this guy was a knight in the round table sort of character, and he's kind of angry and crotchety, the fact that he's fallen apart, but he's a very honourable character. So you start layering in the bits of the voice and the bits of the dialogue, and eventually the character reveals itself. You know, it starts. And once you've got that, then you can play with it. You know, start throwing lines in, and you know, bugger it. You know what I mean? I'm getting too old for this crap. You know, and you start ad-libbing lines and throwing stuff in, and it starts to come together.
Yeah.
So, but it's all about seeing it in your imagination, which is what the kids do. And I was talking about this to the students this afternoon. One of the things I find fascinating about the way that kids react to stuff is that kids can sit and play a game, the Transformers game, or go and see the film, and for them, it's real. Bumblebee, they could have an alien robot living in their garage. It's real because they've seen it. When they go to a Panto, all those barriers are the same thing. They see that ghost. That's not in a man in a white sheet. Yeah. It's a ghost. And the guy that's saying, where's the ghost? They're going, it's behind you, because they're trying to warn him. Genuinely, the ghost is behind him.
Yeah.
So although it's not scary, it's their imagination. They get involved with the interaction of the characters on the stage. So it's very similar. It's all about imagination.